there's so much stuff that we get into. It's been a long weekend. I'm sure you've had some time to sit with your thoughts, certainly for longer than you sat down with that chicken.
Oh yeah. Me and my thoughts have just been having a real fun time over here. No, it's been good. I've had 6 months to process all of this. So
Yeah, well, let's
all
hear what that months of processing has produced. Now, usually when people are blindsided in a show like Survivor, your mind probably flashes back to like one or a few interactions or moments that you had during that day that in retrospect you're like, "Oh man, those were red flags. I should have seen that coming." Obviously, it was quite the blind side for you. You thought the votes would be on Jake and then some. Looking back, was there anything from that day that made you realize, oh, I should have known it was me?
So I just want to clear things up. I was extremely frustrated. They actually had to calm me down a little bit. I was really pissed. You can kind of see it in my face. I'm not animated after I got voted out.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do people even say after this? Like, I was so mad. It was not a blind side. They were just kind of like, oh, like they're telling me things. I was like, yeah, I got blind. And I was trying to like get myself together. It was not a blind side. I just want to like set the record straight. I could feel in my gut that I was me. And you can even see through these confessionals. And I'm like, don't be paranoid. Like, I feel it could be me. I even say to Bruce, I'm like, are they turning the votes on me? And I could like feel that it was me. But there were a couple moments throughout the day. I saw Dee and Katora talking together, which I like on their own by the water well, which I thought was really weird. And I was like, am I good? Like, I feel like something's off. And I said this to Katora, and Dee kind of felt, and Katora was like, and at that moment, I didn't know Katora had turned on me. So I was kind of leaning into her and trusting her. And then, but they kind of like seemed a little clicky right
Mm.
then. And I was like, the energy is different here. I am reading something totally different. And then, yeah, I was talking to Emily, even though she didn't have a vote, she seemed pretty, I didn't really get a lot of time to talk to her after they came back from the journey. So just that small interaction that I had with her was really all I got. And I felt like she was telling me the truth, and she was at the moment. And so, yeah, there's definitely just like, you can feel it. You can feel
Hmm.
it. It's just heavy.
So, I mean, talk about that heaviness. Clearly, the Kelly blind side rocked your world in more ways than one. I mean, I'm really curious that you and seemingly all the Bellows were kind of like left on the back foot with everything that happened. In the hours since, was there talk about like, okay, we should all stick together? Or to your point that you mentioned with Katora, was it kind of like a, all right, let's just scramble and hopefully not be the last rat leaving the sinking ship?
Yeah. So with the Kelly vote, it was really difficult because it was really a blindside because Jake was acting very erratically, like very publicly, and like not all of it was even shown. He kind of, we kind of got into a tiff. Him and Couture kind of got into a tiff. Like, it was really a little bit bigger than it seemed. And so it just felt like I was like, it has to be, and,
Hmm.
the moment you think it has to be, it's probably not. And so, yeah, me and Kelly had sat in the woods for about 20 minutes, which is a long time to be sitting
Hmm.
in the woods by himself. And I was like, I feel like it could maybe be me. And she's like, I feel like it could maybe be me. I was like, are we going to get ricochet votes? Is there going to be an idol play? Like, we thought that was a possibility, but we did not think that it was going to be a clean sweep.
Hmm. So that being said, I'm curious because there was the big twist where three people lost their vote and Austin got his back, even though you did not even think about that possibility. But let's say none of that happened. Bruce still wins immunity. Theoretically, since there were, nine people, it could have been the four Bellows plus Emily. Do you get a sense if that didn't happen that would be the case? Or as you just mentioned, were things too splintered among the Bellows that you couldn't come back together?
I think that at this moment, if everyone had their votes, I think things could have gone differently. I think
Mm.
me and Emily were very much on the same page about kind of like, it was pretty clear to me at that moment that Austin and Dee were really tight. And that's kind of what I was saying. And that it wasn't shown, but that day I go up to Drew and Emily as well. And I'm like, because, you know, it wasn't really shown, but after New Bello, me, Drew, and Emily, that's why I protect him on the split vote. I didn't want to vote Drew. We were maybe not the tightest alliance, but we were in cahoots with each other.
Huh.
I was trying to keep my options open a little bit because, you know, Bello was Bello. And I had these connections, these genuine connections with these two people. And so I'd mentioned that to them. And I think Emily started to catch on. And so I think the votes might have gone differently. It's always hard to say, but we have 3 idols in the game. Not that I knew that, but things, you know, there could have been idol plays, especially with all 9 voting. And I think we could have rallied. I think if we had Emily helping to rally Bello, I think we could have possibly rallied Bello.
I want to stay on this Emily train because it's such an interesting relationship that the two of you have. Of course, we now know that you paid an unseen visit to Lulu Camp during that first vote where Emily was super vulnerable. And then at the swap, you're trying to work with her. She ends up betraying you, leaving you blindsided. But then here, it seems like you're really confiding in her. So talk to me about that relationship and how it managed throughout all those stages.
No, the fact that me and Emily never really got our moment on Survivor kind of makes me sad. So when I went over to Lulu for that first tribal council, Emily, you know, was clearly on the outs. I had sat and chatted with her. I could tell she like needed a friend. So I met her on that level. You know, no matter how you're coming off, if I could see somebody like needing somebody to talk to, I'm going to be that person. In the back of my mind, I'm also like, I'm the only one being nice to her. I'm not going to vote Emily out tonight because I did have a vote at that tribal council. I voted for Brandon because I was trying to keep Emily in this game because I was like, if she by any chance makes merge, I'm going to have somebody I can work with that no one's going to know about. And so, you know, we connected there. On New Bello, we definitely connected. And, you know, yes, she betrays me, but it's one of those things where, yes, at the moment, I was like, I want to get revenge on Emily, but you see the numbers. You see her as somebody potentially you can work with. And we just started getting along on a personal level really well, which is so funny because on the outside, we're so different. And I just really grew, I think as everyone, you know, who's watching Survivor 45 right now has really grown to love Emily. And so, yeah, I just wanted to continue that connection and definitely saw her as somebody I could work with. And I'm a very forgiving person. I think that is kind of my downfall in this game. Maybe I need to be a little bit more ruthless if I ever play on a game again. But yeah, we definitely went through a journey. And at the time of after Kelly's vote out, I know she actually, before tribal council, just came up to me and said, I'm sorry. And I didn't know what it meant.
Wow.
No
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
I think if she had a vote, things would have maybe gone differently because I know she didn't want me to leave when I left.
Wow. So let's talk about the person that I think led to the reason why you're sitting in front of me today. You mentioned her a few times. Let's talk about Dee. Now, you're someone who really reads vibes. And so I'm curious as to where this Dee and Austin thing was coming from. You're doodling their names in your notebook. You're shipping it. You were talking about them as a pair beforehand. I mean, I'm super curious about what you were seeing about the two of them and also leading into like, why did you feel like Dee was such a big threat to the point that you wanted to vocalize to people, we have to get her out above an Austin, a Drew, a Julie?
Yeah. So starting with threat level, I think her and Kelly kind of embodied the same energy. So you kind of see them and they just ooze threat a little bit. You know, you can see that everyone likes talking to them. They're very social. They're super strong. Like you can see that they're always working, even though they have this like really fun and caring. They make you feel like they're talking to you. They look at you in the eye. You know, they have this really fun way about them that makes you feel connected. And I'm always watching. And so I'm always observing everything. You know, I am social, but I am extremely introverted. And so I would often take time by myself or kind of go a little bit away from the group and I would just watch. And so these are the things I picked up on, just the way that people are interacting with her. Then on the Austin and Dee thing, I first picked up on it on New Bello because I'm asking Austin, oh, tell me about the Reba people. And I see him kind of like light up, at least in my perception, about Dee when he was talking about her. And then, you know, they would kind of like whisper to each other before bed, and just saw them like very connected. Even if they weren't spending a lot of time with each other, it was just like I could see it. And so that's when I started to get my suspicions about this.
There was a secret scene at the merge where you are kind of going down the line and asking for everyone's signs. And we know that you're a person who's very much into astrology. I think that's something that really brings the Bello women together initially. I'm really curious, was there any sort of person that you had the stars aligning either in their direction or against their direction, where you're like, you know, I'm a Libra, you're a blank. I am going to or I am not going to work with you because of that?
No, never. It's always more than sun signs. I'm an astrologer, you know, I'm not a like a horoscope girl. I'm not into the pop astrology. It's like a real thing that I do in my day-to-day life. And so, no, I would have never like cut anyone out because of like a sun sign thing. It's just fun and it's a good way to connect with people. Like, and also there are so many Libras there that I was just like, okay, I guess we're all Libras and Virgos. And then we have Julie and Bruce being the Pisces and the Leo. So yeah, no, I'm not too quick to judge on stuff like that. I like to keep an open mind, and I would never shun anyone because of their sun sign.
I mean, I would want to ask about that, Leo, because you are sort of putting the sun in the sun sign and how much of a positive force you seem to be on that island. Bruce, at least from the edit, was not necessarily projecting that. I know there you really wanted to get rid of him during that split vote. That doesn't happen. And then you're sort of forced to work together in this most recent vote. Talk to me about that dynamic, because it did seem like you were one of the people that felt most ruffled by Bruce's personality throughout the season.
I was totally ruffled by Bruce's personality throughout the season. I was almost shocked that they did not give me the same amount of edits as Katora. Talking but you know, as somebody who's looking at numbers, who is, you know, able to put my personal feelings aside to play the game, I saw Bruce. I was like, me and Kelly's right. Like, me and Bruce do need to work together. And that's like, I shake him at that split. Bruce, we need to work together. And I'm a little bit just more adaptable and flexible and I guess in my personality. It's easy for me to just be like, okay, that's in the past. Let's move on. But I think for Bruce, you know, he's like, you know, you said my name once, just, which is fair. But moving forward, we had to work together. Like, we had to work together. And so it sucks that that didn't work out, because at that moment, the day I get voted out, I'm like really all in on Bruce, truly. And I'm like, me and Bruce have to work together. And like, I can see benefits to working with him. And like, I can leave and we had a really nice time at the sanctuary. I think that was our first time really connecting as humans and not game players. And I really changed my tune on Bruce after eating, you know, he was well fed and just won. So, you know, I think he was a little bit more vulnerable with me. And I said that to him. I go, I feel like you've been really vulnerable, and like, thank you for sharing. And like, it's been really nice just hanging out with each other. So.
Well, the last thing I want to ask is something you revealed on social media shortly after your boot, which was a physical ailment that we did not perceive you having to deal with this entire time. Now, you took that hard fall on that balance beam all the way back in the first week of the game. Can you talk a bit more about that injury and how it manifested through the rest of the season?
Mike, your girl was hurting. Your girl was hurting. Luckily, you know, I'm just somebody's gonna push through whatever. But you know, I started physical therapy a couple weeks ago. I have like a small fracture in my coccyx bone, and it hurts to sit. It's hurt to sleep on the bamboo. It hurt to do the challenges. It hurt to do, you know, everything. And so, yeah, that was a big girl come down hard on that balance beam. I stand at 5'10". That's a big fall. And so, yeah, I guess I didn't really think about it that much day to day, because you're just so concerned with other things. I'm like, my pain can wait. And then, the beers helped at Ponderosa once I got there. I was like just laying in the pool, my girl Kelly, just drinking beers, hanging out. So yeah, that made it feel a little bit better.
That's interesting. Do you feel like it impaired the way you performed in challenges at all? Because you talked to me in the preseason about how you felt like you are kind of this like taller, more physical force, and you were able to hang in there in this most recent immunity challenge. But do you feel like that pain got in the way of anything at all?
It's hard to think in the moment because I don't remember thinking about it in the moment because I'm
Hmm.
just so focused on getting to the next level or or winning. Like nothing else matters when I need to win. And so I'm sure it did. My my I had to kind of move my body a little bit differently. So maybe in this one, like having to tuck, I made sure to tuck my pelvic muscles in, really engage my core during that last immunity challenge that I played in. And, I don't remember because I kind of black out through my competitiveness when I'm in these challenges. But yeah, it probably did, honestly. Because when we got back from camp, I was just really, really sore. So maybe not in the challenges, but my ability to engage sometimes after challenges. I had to take a lot of time for myself and kind of just be like, I am in pain. So,
Well, I know we just celebrated Thanksgiving, but let me belatedly give you thanks for giving us so much great stuff over this season. I mean, you are unabashedly 100% yourself, and it's something I adored from the moment I met you those 6 months ago, through everyone getting to fall in love with you as well through TV, through getting to hear your story in so many ways. It was such a pleasure. I wish we were talking a month from now, but better to talk now than not at all. So thank you, Kendra, for every single thing.
yeah,
I'm glad to hear you're getting better as well.
we're on the mend. Awesome, Mike. It's so good to talk to you. So nice to see you again. And I hope you have
Yes,
a beautiful day.
you as well, Kendra. Enjoy the rest of your Monday and these interviews as well, and all the best to you and your family.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Of course, bye.